We are going to talk about today my favorite kiddos to treat with speech sound disorders. These are the children who have anxiety or they have ADHD. This population is really exciting to work with. I affectionately call them my Kool-Aid men. So these are my Kool-Aid man and my Kool-Aid gals that will pop through the fence like the Kool-Aid man and surprise us all at the end of the school year. Let's talk about them, how we're going to do something different with these kiddos and how that's going to affect how they improve in speech sound disorders. So let me give you a little bit of background. If you're working with children with ADHD or anxiety disorders, you're going to see a different trajectory when you're treating them using complex targets or any target for that matter. Complex targets is what I use. And what you're going to see, unlike the other children who make steep gains quickly, like when you're working with the complexity approach and you're working with three-element S-plans and you're doing all of the things, the multimodal cueing, the DTTC, you've got all of the evidence-based practices going on, you're going to see big gains all the time. So you're going to see, wow, what a big gain. What great improvement we've had in quarter 1, what great improvement we've had in quarter 2, what great improvement we've had in quarter 3. Now we're at the top of the hill and we're working on these most challenging sounds, such as the R sound, or we're working on the blends. We're at that level now. The child's at the very end of the rope. However, if you're working with children with anxiety or children with ADHD, the trajectory is very different. The trajectory can be throughout the school year. You're going to see mild to moderate gains, consistent, steady gains. It's not a flat line. We're making gains, but they're not the steep gains that you see with other children. Their temperament or does impact their gains. For instance, with the children with ADHD, the reason you're going to see gains throughout the school year occurring at a slower rate, you're going to see it go at a slower rate for 2 reasons. One, the attention. So because it's difficult to get their attention on that treatment target and to ignore all of the external stimuli and every other idea they have and just focus, because of that attention challenge, it's going to mean that the gains are going to occur at a slower rate because you need to be attending to these complex treatment targets. You need to be attending to the snake sound, the tongue in the back of the mouth, the hungry dog teeth, all of those bells and whistles and those details. You need to put that together, attend to it, and then produce it. It's a lot of executive function. You need the attention. You need the inhibitory control, controlling where your attention is. You need the cognitive flexibility, that ability to change what you're doing. You've always done it this way, and now you need to change it. It's all under executive function, and you need that working memory in which you hear something and you do something different and you produce something different. Because of these executive function challenges, you're going to see them make the gains at a slower rate. And because of those attention difficulties, attending to the details of the sound, it's going to be happening at a lower, slower pace. And also because of the self-monitoring is so difficult, right? Being able to monitor your own speech is very difficult for children with ADHD. However, what I'm going to show you today is that why I love working with these children is they give you an exciting end of the year fireworks moment. And that's where I am right now with a couple of kids on my caseload where we work so hard throughout the school year. And I've known, okay, maybe I'm not seeing phenomenal gains, but we're making gains and all of the right things are happening in therapy. In therapy, and we're going to talk about all of the right things in a minute, stay the course. The reason you're not seeing the gains is because self-monitoring and executive function, as far as the ADHD, is very, very challenging. So it's going to take longer, more repetition, more elbow grease. But we're going to get to the final spot as well. It's just going to take a different trajectory. And the way it's going to work is you're going to be like, okay, here we are. We're in April. We've made some gains, some nice gains. It's not the gains that the peers make. We're chugging along. And then you're going to see them a week later. And they're going to be making all of these things that you've been working with them on all school year. And you've been doing all of the right things, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but you're not seeing the gains generalize because of the self-monitoring challenges, the attention challenges, and the executive function challenges. And they're going to overnight Kool-Aid Man moment, arrive to speech therapy, boom, they just knocked the fence down. They're going to be doing all of this at the conversational speech level. They're going to look at me and say, hey, Miss Callie, and they have the cuss sound that we've been working on. At the word level, they have the L sound we've been working on. At the structured sentence level, all of that is there. They have a nice, it's not being lisped, it's in conversation. It's just overnight, literally. It's very exciting, and it's a wonderful way to end the school year. And what's important is, because I've done this so many times and I researched these kiddos over the years, is that I didn't change what I was doing. I didn't say, oh, I don't see the gains on the standardized test. I know I don't see the gains because self-monitoring, that's what the test is testing, and you're not self-monitoring at all. But what I know is good things are happening under the hood. And I'm going to explain why good things are happening under the hood and why I'm actually going to recommend the exact same course you're going to take with a child with ADHD as you would with a child with anxiety, and why we're going to be doing the same thing for both of them. And both of them are going to give you the Kool-Aid moment at the end of the school year. It's going to happen at the end of the school year, though, because it's going to take more time. It's going to take more repetitions because of these issues, the issues related to ADHD and the issues related to having anxiety. The same thing with the children with anxiety. You're going to see from quarter to quarter, you're chugging along and you're making steady gains. They're not the steep gains that you're making with the other kiddos in the caseload. They're steady gains. We're moving along. We're chugging along. And then they're going to Kool-Aid Man you overnight, and you're going to hear the sounds you've been working on all year in conversational speech. It seems like a light switch just popped on. I think of it as the Kool-Aid Man, boom, and they jump in conversation, you hear all of the things you've been putting gallons of elbow grease into throughout the school year, and you're not seeing it generalize on the single word speech test. It's like, nope, they're still doing it. They're still doing it. They're still doing it. Okay. And at the end of the school year, they've got it. Kool-Aid Man, boom. And here they are in conversational speech. You're hearing it all 100% in conversation. So it's very exciting, and it makes the end of the school year so much more exciting when you give them the graduation certificate and you truly are so proud. It's just an amazing moment, because you also know that they had to work kind of twice as hard to get there. And they did take their own path, and we're going to explain why they took their own path in a minute, but we got there. And we got there because I stayed the course. I stayed the course, and I'm going to tell you why I stayed the course. It's not only enough to do effective practice, you need to know why with this student you're doing this. Like, it's not just like, oh, this is what they say to do, this is best practice. No, why is this best practice for this student? So we're going to go ahead and dive in to why I'm going to recommend these same 5 tips. There are different reasons for children with ADHD as you're going to do for children with anxiety. And this is also best practice. You would do this with any child in your caseload, but it becomes pivotally important with children with ADHD or children with anxiety. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the same treatment target. In my membership, I always say, join from this treatment targets, you're going to get these really powerful research sentences, or these complex sentences, or these paragraphs, and you're going to use them over and over and over and over again. And does it generalize? Yes, it generalizes. In fact, the research indicates it's more powerful than changing the words all the time. When you change the words all the time, the child focuses on what they're saying and not how they're speaking. So when we use the same target for a child with ADHD, by having that same target, they know what they're focusing on. They're focusing on their angry dog teeth. They're focusing on keeping the teeth together. They're focusing on keeping the tongue in the back of the mouth, and the back of the mouth for the K sound. They're always focusing on that, the how they're speaking, and not, oh, look at this. This is a screw, and this is a scrape, and this is a, not that I don't use those. I use those for a little bit of variety for home practice, for parents. Yes, I do use those. Here's some the SER words. But when I'm in therapy with them, and I also give the parents a cue as well, when I'm in therapy with them, for children with ADHD, because of their attention challenges, having all of their cognitive facilities focus on how they're speaking is good use of those eggs and putting them in that basket. And nothing, I'm saying this word, I'm saying this word, I'm saying this word, and then they're not even focusing on the how, which is the part we care about, right? For children with anxiety, when you use the same phrase over and over again, there's familiarity, there's comfort in that. That makes them feel safe and secure. They're not worried about, oh, this word's different. I don't know if I can say this word. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I want to say that. I'm not comfortable with that. So you're not adding anxiety by changing things up needlessly all the time. You're keeping things the same so they can focus all of their emotional capacity on how they're talking and how they're performing and not learning new lines all the time. So for very different reasons, using the same exemplar, using the same target is very beneficial, not only for any child with speech sound disorders so they can focus on how they're talking and not what they're saying, but for children with ADHD or children with anxiety, especially because it gives them safety and security if they have anxiety. And if they have ADHD, it gives them greater use of their attention. You're not needlessly wasting their attention, which is limited in their case. So the second rule we're going to follow when we stay the course. Now I'm saying stay the course, even if like, oh, I'm not seeing the big gains from quarter one to quarter two to quarter three. Quarter four, you're going to see them. That's when you get the big payoff. It's fun. It's exciting. It's like winning the lottery. Okay. The second one we're going to remember is to use multimodal cueing. Now, this is very important because you want to stop talking as soon as possible. As long as you are talking when you're doing the model for the speech sound disorders, you're telling the child, this is the motor planning, this is the motor programming, this is the execution, and you're just passively in the passenger seat along for the ride. We don't want that, especially for children with ADHD, because children with ADHD, if they're not actively involved in the learning experience, then they're going to check out. They can't passively just be, okay, I'm just going to observe you and learn that way. So what we want to do is we're using the cues. So if we're doing this, the scrub line, for instance, skrrr, so that we can stop talking and just use the gestures, and we're guiding them. And when we do that with the gestures, they take ownership. They are the teacher now. They're leading the show. They're in charge. They're all in. You need them all in or they're going to check out. And then I always tell them immediately, you're the teacher now. I'm not even talking anymore. I'm so proud of you. I'm the student. And I want to do that as soon as possible. When it comes to children with anxiety, a lot of times they don't feel like they have control. So it gives them control being the teacher. You are the teacher now. You don't even need me anymore. A lot of them that with children with anxiety, I also like to give them a lot of choices because they don't feel like they have control over their environment. If they feel like they have control over their environment and control of themselves, they're going to feel a lot safer and more secure. So for different reasons, for the children with ADHD, is to get them involved in the learning experience, actively involved as much as possible. I need to get them all in because if they're not actively involved, they're going to check you out. For the children with anxiety, when I do the cueings and I stop talking, it's because they're the boss. They're in charge, and that makes them feel safe and secure. The third maxim you're going to want to follow is that practice makes permanent. So use a most to least prompting hierarchy. A lot of times graduate students, they don't want to be obtrusive and they'll just use as minimal prompting to start as possible. And then the child will produce the word incorrectly and they're like, oh, okay, let me give you a little prompt and then you're going to do it correctly. So they have this 50-50. So they'll say it, they'll say bore for four and then they go, okay, that's better. They go, four. Then they go, four. Okay, good. And then they give them a natural reward. Oh, this is for you. The problem with that is they don't know what they did. It's just luck. Okay, I did it 4 one time, and then you give it to me. So it's just confusion. They have no idea what they did right or wrong. They did it was by accident. They get the reward. So what you want to do is you want to front load. You want to make sure they're minimally 80% accurate. And if you can always stay at that 80% level challenge point, you're going to get the most optimal gains. We don't want it too easy for them, but we don't want it too frustrating at all. So if it's too easy, they're not going to be making the gains they're capable of. If it's too hard, they're going to be frustrated and they're going to be habituating an errored pattern. So with both of them, for different reasons, for the children with ADHD, it's really important because they don't self-monitor. Error, I'm providing more prompts to ensure that I'm not further reinforcing errored prompting behaviors. And what's happening in the brain, every time they do those repetitions, they are creating stronger neuronal connections. A lot of times the children with the ADHD, because of the difficulty self-monitoring and an executive function, the motor skill will develop before the frontal lobe skill, before the, okay, I'm going to do it like this, the intentionality. So they will be able to do it correctly just with a little bit of attention, but then it's going to eventually it's going to become automatic because they've done it so many times correctly with you in therapy. So for them, it's important to ensure that practice makes permanent, that they're getting a lot of repeated guided practice, not a lot of junk practice in which they're saying the word like, okay, we're going to say the word scrape. Wait, 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 wait. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, now let's do it correctly. And then, so basically 10% of the time they're saying it correctly 9 times. And then the last time they did it correctly. And then they get to engage in this rewarding activity. So you're basically teaching them bape, bape, bape was correct, which they did 90% of the time. So you really want to use a most to least prompting hierarchy with children with ADHD to ensure preventatively that we're making accurate productions in the brain. Accurate motor plans are being established, motor programs are being established, execution is being established. That's what we're doing with our therapy time. And the same thing with the children with anxiety, they're going to be like, okay, I want to do what is the road most traveled, right? And what's going to happen is because they're always doing that correctly through repeated practice, there eventually becomes this fight in the brain in which the new way, the new pattern takes over the old pattern. Now, what's really interesting is there's a phenomenon that occurs before that change occurs in which a new pattern is overtaking an old pattern. It's really, really cool, in which children will actually make errors that are really out there. They will make these errors that are really like, is this child getting worse? You know what I mean? What's happening here? But really, it's this chaos that's occurring in the brain because you have like equal forces going against each other, right? This one's saying, okay, you do this half the time, you do this half the time. The new pattern is taking over. And a lot of times you get a clash. And when you get that clash, you're going to get some funky errors coming out. So a lot of times you're going to have moments like, oh my goodness, is he getting better? I'm hearing some atypical errors pop out that I'm not used to hearing that you didn't used to do. And that's what's happening. In the brain right now, there's a fight, and that fight is happening from the new and the old is taking over, and there is some resistance that happened. The new is taking over, there's some resistance in the old. And what happens is you start getting these atypical errors, and you're like, whoa, whoa. It's about just when you're like really second guessing yourself and what you're doing. I'm going to tell you from my experience. So that's what's happening under the hood neuronally. The next one we're going to look at is using imagery cues. When we use imagery cues, that's really important for the children with ADHD because we're stimulating the frontal lobe. We're stimulating that area of the brain where they're starting to like self-monitor because you have this image like using hungry dog teeth. Oh, those teeth are so scary. Or you're having them keep your teeth together, brush your teeth to keep the teeth together. Like, big smile, L. You got those L's. I see your L's. Big smile. So what we would do with this is you want them to do a completion prompt because you want them to state the rule. You want them to own it, right? And know the rule really well. So I use the completion prompt like, you have hungry, and they'll say dog teeth. You're keeping your teeth together. So they are going to state the rule in the image. I see a big, big smile. So they are once again thinking about that image, thinking about that sound. So that becomes very important. Now, with children with anxiety, stimulating the frontal lobe, and that means they're not in fight, flight, freeze mode. The brain works like a light switch. So if you have that amygdala, fight, flight, freeze area of the brain lit up, the frontal lobe is not lit up. It's like either or, right? But when the frontal lobe is lit up, when they're thinking about an image such as the hungry dog teeth, then they can't be in fight, flight, freeze brain. So for different reasons, it's working for the child with ADD, the child with ADHD. Now, this is something that's important for every child on your caseload, but it's more important for the children who are neurodivergent in the sense of anxiety or ADHD. So number 5, the fifth tip that's really important is to train the communication partners. So telling the parents or the other teachers that you work with, this is the cue we use. Hungry dog teeth, and use your arms and have your arms go really, really far. And when you do, you're going to see that they show more teeth. Okay, for the owl, get those eyes out really, really long and you're going to see a bigger, bigger smile. For that lispid S, you want a bigger smile. Get those arms out by this really well. The big smile is going to get that air escaping from the side of the mouth. For keeping the teeth together, you're going to brush your teeth. You're going to have them brush their teeth before they say the sound. Because if you don't have them brush their teeth before they say the sound, then they're going to have the tongue out and then they're going to stick it in. We're going to get a 50-50 and then it's going to be luck. So tell the parent that one thing that we need to focus on. Tell the teachers you need to work on, we work with that one thing that we're focusing on, and this is the cue, and this is how you do it. So giving that repeated cue, that real game changer, pivotal cue coming from many different directions and across settings is really going to be pivotal as well. So those are the 5 tips. And I want you to take those tips and do what you do best, which is to roll up your sleeves and make the world a better place, one child at a time. I am wishing you many Kool-Aid Man moments for the end of the school year. If you're too young to know who the Kool-Aid Man is, fireworks. I'm wishing you fireworks for this end of the school year in May and June for your kiddos to come in and you're going to hear sounds that you've been elbow greasing, that you've been staying the course on, you've been giving 100% and your kiddo has been too. You are going to hear them come out at the conversational level, and it's going to happen overnight. But if you're like me right now, you can hear it. I can hear it. They're coming around the corner. I can hear Kool-Aid Man. I can hear the stomps. I'm very excited for you and the great changes you're going to see for your kiddos with ADHD and for your kiddos with anxiety when you're treating speech sound disorders. Remember this, stay the course. And when I mean stay the course, follow the 5 tips that I gave you today. And don't be dismayed if you see a flat line. That you're building under the hood, the neuronal connections are happening. Good things are happening. It's just these neuronal connections have to happen at a more automatic level before you're going to see generalization because of the child's temperament or because of the child's self-monitoring difficulties. But they're going to get there, I promise. All right, I'll see you next week. Thanks for being with me.